So after 2 years of dealing with some BS, we are finally going to tell our side of the story and explain it and show you some facts to back it up. So here we go.
So on October 9th, 2020, I got a text message, or I'm sorry, a Facebook message from Chloe saying that she was going through some stuff and would I watch her baby. And we were planning on trying to get pregnant as soon as we got married, which was October 12th. So we were like, yeah, it'll be good practice because it was going to be an overnight.
That's how she got me.
So we said, sure. We had him the 9th and the 10th, but like I said, we were getting married on the 12th. So the 11th, we were doing last minute wedding stuff, and then I stayed the night in a hotel. And then we got married on the 12th. The 13th, we did like a little mini honeymoon. The night of the 14th, I got another message from Chloe asking if we could watch Nolan again. And we said, yeah, sure. From October 14th till today, we have had Nolan. With the exception of my little sister would take Nolan for the first, I'd say like 3 or 4 months. My little sister would take Nolan one day on the weekend so that we could like grocery shop.
Relax.
Yeah, just have
Just
a minute
anything.
for ourselves because we were babysitting or nannying. I don't know, long-term babysitting, is that a thing?
Yeah.
So we would have him Monday through Friday. My little sister would take him, Friday night. We'd catch up on our sleep, and then she'd have him Saturday. We would pick him up either late Saturday or Sunday morning. There was a couple of times where she had him both days during the weekend.
And then there was a couple weeks where we had him all week.
Yeah.
So
During that time, it started, we realized, because in the very beginning, we would have him and then say, hey, we have something going on. Sorry, we can't keep him another night. And then my little sister had texted me and said, hey, I'm watching this baby. And I was like, is it by chance Nolan? She's like, yeah. And I was like, how weird. Like, we've had him for X amount of days. And so we just found out that anytime we asked Chloe for a break, she would bring him to my little sister.
pick him up and drop him off.
And it's an 8-minute drive, so she would literally pick him up and drive directly there and drop him off. So then eventually we just kind of cut out the middleman, and either Layla would come pick him up from us, or we would bring him there on those weekend days, or if we had something going on. And it stayed like that for a long time until eventually we just stopped asking Layla, or she stopped asking to see him, or whatever. It stayed like that for a long time.
She got busy.
Yeah. And, in the beginning, Chloe did provide formula. Or would give us a WIC card, or to have Taylor bring formula.
Old diapers.
Or diapers, or gripe water, baby Tylenol, whatever he needed. Eventually, she stopped coming to bring that stuff and would just cash at me. And then, eventually, we just started buying the stuff. We either couldn't get a hold of her or Taylor, or he ran out of something and she's like, I don't get paid until whenever. So then we started.
Well, and he got super sick by that point, and we really had to just
get some stuff for him.
Yeah.
A humidifier, baby Vicks, baby Tylenol, all of those things that we just kind of took upon ourselves to get, because she kind of started ghosting us.
So at this point, we had begun falling deeply in love with him. He was our best little buddy. We'd hang out, play games. I was still working full-time, so Anne-Marie was taking most of the responsibility. But at this point, we had truly decided in our minds that we loved him and we wanted to keep him, but we had to come and ask Chloe for the adoption, if it was even an option to her.
You told me that we should talk to her about it, and
Yeah,
So
which was nerve-wracking on its own.
we sat down and had a long conversation, though, about what that would look like. Could we
What it
financially
entails.
support a child? Do we have the time?
But on February 22nd, we asked her if we could adopt him. And
I did it over text message, so that I could, like, strategically think out a way to not be like, hey, can I have your baby? You know? So, and as you can see, her response was, yeah, I was gonna ask that, but I didn't know how to go about it. But my grandma would still want to see him. And at the beginning,
no problem.
we wanted Nolan to have a relationship with them. I'm adopted. I have a relationship with my entire biological family, all sides, and it's been beneficial to have that extra support growing up. We wanted him to have a relationship with Chloe, Taylor, grandmas, grandpas, his sisters, uncles, cousins, whatever. And so I said, yeah, it'll be like what we're doing right now. Me and my sister, total, have him 24/7. We have him 6 days a week. Layla has him 1 day a week. It'd be like what we're doing now, but we would have the rights as his parents.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about, I said, does Taylor have custody? Because I didn't know their situation, because again, I didn't know Chloe.
Not well.
I knew
Not by
of
no
her,
means, yeah.
really. And she said, yeah, he did. She'd have to talk to him about it. Long story short, I think it was that night or the next day she had talked to Taylor. And at first Taylor wanted Nolan.
Yeah.
And he made that very clear to us and Chloe, but knew that he could not support another child, give him the best life. And things were really, I can't speak to their relationship, but it just didn't seem like he was prepared to raise another child with her.
Yeah, and it seemed like he was making the best choice for Nolan.
So we obviously wanted to do things legit. We hired an attorney. Our attorney drafted up paperwork for the adoption, drafted up everything that we would have to do. She and Taylor signed the paperwork.
At our house.
I have it recorded. They signed the paperwork. They agreed to everything. And then she kind of did a 360 out of nowhere online. She started posting about doing drugs, popping pills, being suicidal. I was genuinely worried. We're genuinely worried about her taking Nolan anywhere. If she was popping pills, doing drugs, suicidal.
Well, and she told us she had postpartum depression really bad, so that just even further frightened us.
Right, and even though she said she had postpartum depression, they were going to give Nolan up for adoption when Chloe was pregnant. The second that he was born, Taylor's sister was supposed to adopt Nolan.
Yeah.
We don't know, and I don't really want to go into specifics as to why that didn't work out, but she never wanted Nolan, and they had planned to give him up for adoption when she was pregnant.
Yep.
So, and then she said she had postpartum depression, but every night for those first couple weeks that we would have him, she was on Snapchat, at parties, clubs,
car meets,
all over,
jumping on top of cars, shit-faced drunk,
but would tell me that her daughters had like a doctor's appointment,
or they're super sick.
And that's why she needed us to watch Nolan in the first place. As you'll see, he made it very clear she didn't want him. I asked her for his birth certificate, his social security card. We were going to need those things. And she's like, we never applied for it because we didn't want him. And then, as you can see, she's like, I know that sounds bad, ha ha ha, but you know what I mean. And I was like, yeah, no, like I've never struggled with postpartum depression. I've never really struggled with depression, so I didn't
Understand.
I just was like, oh, no, that doesn't sound bad. Like, at least you're being honest, I think is what I said. So March 13th, we had a baby shower. We had this baby. We needed clothes, a crib, and we didn't
Diapers,
have 9 months
toys.
to prepare. So we had a baby shower for our friends and family, and Chloe asked me if she could come. like I said, I wanted her to have a relationship with Nolan. I wanted her to be a part of everything. So I let her come. Her and Carly. I didn't know if you were going to say her name. Her and Carly came to my baby shower. They brought gifts.
Yep.
Both of them did. I did find them going through
Nolan's room,
the drawers in his closet and stuff, which I thought was kind of weird, but
whatever.
I figured she was just curious. You know, she wanted to see what his room looked like. She came to my baby shower. Then
took photos with us at the baby
shower.
Yeah,
I'll insert the picture here. So, does that look like somebody who
stole a baby?
Does it look like I stole the baby and just like ran off the crazy babysitter? Or does that look like somebody who knew exactly what was going on?
Yeah.
So she came to my baby shower. We wouldn't see or hear from her for weeks at a time.
Yep, and then just random, hey, how's
text.
Nolan?
And we'd be like, oh,
can I get a photo?
Oh, he's doing really well. I would send her pictures and she'd be like, oh, he looks so happy. Oh, he loves his daddy. Wow, he seems so happy with his family.
Can he crawl? Just basic questions.
So we had a court date set for April 21st. But I would say, I don't know, maybe a month or so beforehand, this was set to be an uncontested adoption hearing.
They both came to the house and signed the paperwork. We had it officialized through the courts.
It was supposed to be, we did financial statements, we did everything.
Background checks, all sorts of different things.
Right. But I said, hey, I would like to come, or at least, I didn't want her to drive with him. But again, I wanted that relationship between Nolan and his great-grandmother, grandmother, whatever. Hey, I am really worried about your mental health, and I would like to either be present at visitations or we can do them at my house. She lost it. You'll hear from my lawyer.
You don't have these rights, this, that, and the other, which we did. Our lawyer told us we were allowed to be there.
We were just looking out for what was best for Nolan. I was scared she wouldn't bring him back. She'd hurt him, herself, both.
Yeah, who knows? We
he'd get into something. We don't know. And I still wanted them to have visitation. But so anyway, we didn't hear from her for a while until she would send random harassing text messages.
Or have her friends.
We got in the car. We were going to go grocery shopping. We were driving. We saw about 4 or 5 police cars. We're like the second house in on our street. So it's our house, another house, and then a corner. We drove past and we saw like 4 or 5 police cars. And we were like, whoa, what's going on there? And Chloe's car. She had a very distinct car at the time. It was half blue, half gray.
It was a hatchback.
Very noticeable car.
Yep.
And we were like, yikes. Well, we haven't heard from our attorney. We haven't heard from anybody, so it must not involve us, you know?
Like maybe she got in trouble.
Yeah. So we left, went on our merry way. She had told us that she was going to fight us in court, so we were just waiting for court, preparing with our attorney. She made several Facebook posts herself saying, I couldn't give him the life I wanted. He's in a happy, healthy home, whatever. So we were like, okay, that must have not involved us. Went about our way, didn't hear anything. No, cops contacted me.
No.
Chloe didn't contact me.
There was no letter on our door, nothing that day.
No. Then, I can't say an exact date on this. But it was 3 days before our court date.
So what day was the court date?
The 21st. So it was like the 18th.
Yeah.
Of April. We were out at
a cookout at your sister's.
A cookout at my older sister's house. And we have cameras everywhere.
No, we didn't at the time. That's why we got all the cameras.
You're right, but we had this one.
Yep.
And it was like motion detected. Princess, our dog, was going
nuts.
Crazy.
Ripping
I turned
up
on the sound and it was like, bang, 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 police, open the door, police, open the door.
Flashlights through the windows.
In every single window of our house. Our house was surrounded by police and SWAT. We didn't know this. We just heard it's the police. Well, my brother-in-law lived like 2 blocks down. I called him. I said, hey, listen, I'm not sure what's going on at my house. Can you just drive by, please?
And see. Ask him.
Yeah, and see what is going on. He drove by. He's like, hey, it's the Brighton Police Department. We're like, can you ask them? Like, what is this about? So a police officer, I was on speaker through his car,
Yep.
and the police officer said, hey, what do you know about a child that these people have? He's like, they're in a process of adopting a baby boy. And he's like, okay, we received a 911 call that this woman had her child kidnapped
From her babysitter.
From her babysitter, and had finally found where he was located, and needed the police to come get her son.
They literally were going to break down our door.
They said we were going to bust down the door,
because they didn't know there was an actual
and she went
custody hearing.
She went to the police station frantic, said, if you don't kick down the door, I'll do it myself.
Brought all her friends to...
Had Carly and Carly's mom with her.
And her daughter. Didn't she have her daughter that day?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't want to say their names, though.
That's why I said that.
And so I kind of explained to him, I said, listen, we have a court hearing Monday. This is the case number. You can look it up. Here's our judge's name. Here's the scenario. And he said, okay, that sounds more feasible.
Yeah.
We said, okay, great. So, he told them, do not come back here. You have a court date. This is a civil matter. You need to settle it in court. Should not kidnap your baby. There is paperwork that you signed. I understand that you're changing your mind, and I hope whatever is in the best interest of the child works out, which it did. But you need to leave, and you cannot come back here. So I'm on the phone with the officer trying to find the second case number. And while I'm on the phone, I'm getting texts from my mom and my little sister. Finally, they call Thomas, and he's like, Chloe is at your sister's house. My mom's house. They all live together. And I'm
demanding to come in.
Demanding to come in, saying, I
trying
know
to push
he's
their
here.
way in.
I know they're here, trying to push their way into my mother's house after the police just told her, leave them alone. They did not kidnap your baby.
There's an open custody case going on.
Right, settle it in court. So I told the officer, she's at my mom's house right now. They sent a separate police officer. That officer was still at my house. They sent a separate police officer to my mom's house to tell her to leave. Do not contact me, my mom, my sisters, nobody. Wait until the court hearing. That officer was still parked in my driveway, talking to me on the phone. She came back. Mind you, this was at almost 11 o'clock at night.
And this was not in her personal car. This was in someone else's car.
Right.
She's trying to hide.
Mm-hmm. But we were told it was her friend and her friend's mother.
Yeah.
And her daughter. So we were like, can we go home? Is this safe? What is happening? I understand that she's frustrated, but this just shows mental instability. The officer told you, leave me alone. You're going to go to my mom's house, come back, whatever the case may be. So like I said, we had court the 21st. When we had court, where was Chloe?
On the 21st of what?
April.
She was in Las Vegas.
This was the court.
In some hotel room.
Mm-hmm. This was the court date that was going to decide whether we got temporary custody until the adoption or if she did. And she was in Las Vegas. So...
If she's awarded custody, how the hell would have she done anything?
Well, and me personally, say I had a child, gave him away, regretted it, and was like, oh my God, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I need to get my baby back. I would not be going to Las Vegas, especially during the court date.
No. And she said it's for a funeral?
Oh, that's just, if you were screaming, crying, missing your baby, whatever. During this time, before the court date, she also made the GoFundMe that said that she was struggling with postpartum really bad. She gave him to a friend that she thought she could trust. I didn't know Chloe. We were acquaintances at best. The babysitter had kidnapped her child and manipulated her into signing papers. She didn't know what the papers were.
And was slandering our business.
We then found out from friends that she'd been slandering our business at the car meets. That cost us money financially because that is our source of income. We own our business.
So on April 21st is when we actually had the hearing for the custody.
The APR, allocation of parental responsibilities.
Okay, the APR.
It's custody until the adoption because it could take years.
Yeah. And Chloe lied continuously under oath. Our lawyer caught her multiple times and called her on it. And then we also had Taylor, who was on our side. He fought for us because he knows that
This
Nolan,
is what's best
yeah,
for Nolan.
he
He
knows.
testified on our behalf, and so did his mother.
Yep. But she continuously lied, got caught up in it, actually ended up scoffing at the judge. And after that, we were awarded custody. She had
Sole custody.
sole custody, he was supposed to reside with us
24/7.
We had sole decision making for him, so we could take him to our doctor
And the judge
prescribe.
said that this was the best interest of the child, was her ruling.
So after the ruling, we were granted all custody, all decision making, and he was supposed to reside with us at all times. Chloe was given the opportunity to have
Supervised visitation.
visitation 3 times a week.
Which the judge let us pick the days and times that worked best for us and Nolan's nap schedule. He was only 4 months old or so at the
Yeah,
time.
and for
6.
the first few months, we were allowed to be there just for Nolan's comfort and make sure everything was moving smoothly. There wasn't.
He hadn't seen her in months. He had no idea who she was.
Yeah, it was like meeting a stranger.
She would try and hold him and he would cry and she would get frustrated. So we were going to be at visitation to make it a smooth transition, not just us dropping him off with strangers to him.
And then they also wanted us to have a
CFI.
Yeah, which is where someone comes in and watches how the child interacts with you, the family, just
And then
the whole
how
family
he
as a whole.
interacted with
Chloe, but it was going to be $750 each, I believe.
But we were going to pay it.
We were going to pay it.
We'd already
we
been almost $10,000 deep in attorney's fees. We didn't care.
Yeah, we aren't going to back down at that point because
We love him.
we love him. He's
That's
our
our
baby
baby.
boy. We literally have stayed up all night, went to the hospital all night, had to suffer watching him get, what was it? Had to get an IV catheter because he was sick.
And
he
in
had
those first few
colic.
weeks, he was really sick, and I kept texting her that she needed to take him to the doctor, and she wouldn't.
Which we later found out that was because he was passed person to person for the first 9 days prior to him coming to us.
Since this all has happened, I've been sent pictures of every visitation she had up until I had a problem with her having visitation alone. She dropped him off with somebody else.
Yeah.
I've been sent pictures from 4 different people of pictures with Nolan, and I'm like,
Why do you have pictures of my son?
and they told me the date. I looked it up based off our visitation schedule. They were days that Chloe had visitation.
Yep.
So after that hearing, she was awarded the 3 days a week visitation for an hour.
Hour
Don't
and
quote
30
me on
minutes,
that.
I believe.
Something like that. Immediately after the court date, I got this text message saying that it was becoming too expensive, and that as long as she can still see him, that
She would go with
she
the original
wanted us to still
adoption.
adopt him.
And that one of her friends had told her she should try to fight us for him.
Mhm.
It's not on her own doing that she wanted to fight us, but at one of her friends' expenses.
Right. Then we said, yeah, absolutely, we'll do the visitation. Whatever. She came to one visit and then said that it was too often for her to drive from Commerce City to Brighton 3 times a week.
And she couldn't pay for the CFI.
And the gas to get down here. The visitation was too often. So what about once every other week? So she was awarded 3 times a week. And then was like, no, that's too much. How about once every other week?
And that we go back to the original adoption plan.
Mm-hmm.
Which we had to refile once again through the
exact
court.
Same thing.
Had to have both of them come over here and re-sign it once again.
And this whole time, Taylor had been fully cooperative.
Yeah.
Saying that, he really hopes that Nolan can stay with us, that we're his family. At this point, Nolan was calling me mommy because I am his mommy, and calling Tom his daddy because that's his daddy. He didn't know them, and so to rip him from the situation at that point had been extremely traumatic, would have been. But we prayed hard, and we just prayed that, if God was going to take him, that he'd do it now, because we were already so in love with him, and we didn't want it to be
more traumatic.
Yeah. Do it while he's a baby.
It was rough. We stayed up all night from that court hearing. We were stressed.
We couldn't sleep. We
crying,
could hardly
felt like
eat.
shit. Yeah, it's just.
And she's in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
From the day of the court hearing where we were awarded custody, I've kept a journal of every single interaction with Chloe. She has since posted several posts, kept him from her, but I was legally required to allow her visitation.
Yet she blocked my wife on her phone. But
So even if, I wasn't allowed to block her. So even if I was withholding, which as you can see, as you just saw, I'm not, she could have easily brought the police to my house, which we know she's comfortable doing.
Yep.
And gotten her visitation.
Very capable.
So I've kept a journal. She would say, hey, can I come see Nolan this day? It was always an excuse. I was up all night. I'm sick. Oh, I forgot I have an appointment. Just constantly canceling.
Just excuse.
And at this point, she hasn't seen him in over a year.
Yep.
And until yesterday, when the adoption was finalized, we were legally required to allow her visitation 3 times a week. And she has not. The constant slander online, the constant harassment from her and her family.
And fake text numbers.
I'll insert some of those here. Another thing kind of early on in this whole fiasco that got brought up, there was a girl by the name of Destiny Perez who had commented on Chloe's post that said, she told me she adopted him from a private website. I don't know why she would lie about that. I said it was a private adoption, which a simple Google search would have told her a private adoption just means we didn't go through an agency. We didn't go through an adoption agency and then find a baby to adopt. A private adoption is where it's between the biological parents, the egg donor and sperm donor of the child, and the parents of the child.
Yeah, but we don't have any biological
Relation.
relationship, so it's harder.
So it's a private adoption. So I just wanted to clear that up because that got really out of hand, that I was lying saying I got him from a private website. If she didn't read my message and do a Google search, that's on her.
That's incompetence.
That's not on me. Anytime that we had a special day, my baby shower, a birthday, anything, I would always get a text from Chloe. You'll never be his mother. I hope he hates you, blah, 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 blah. And then in the next text, when I asked her for ultrasounds for his baby book, so that he never felt like he had less than Georgia, I want them to have the same.
Yeah, feel equal.
Yeah.
We love them equally.
Not, hey, Mom, why don't you have any ultrasounds of me? Which he'll know he's adopted, and we will never badmouth Chloe to him or anybody.
Job.
That's not our job. If he asks, I'll tell him the facts. Hey, your biological parents didn't feel that they could provide for you. We wanted you. We chose you. We adopted you. We love you. And when he's 18, if he wants to seek them out, I'll help him.
Yeah.
I will help him track them down. I do have all of these screenshots sent to an email account. So when he's 18, he can read through the court transcripts, text messages, everything for himself. So he can have the facts before he does meet them. Because I know it'll be a lot of, your mom stole you from me.
Yeah, trying to twist and especially manipulate. We know how they work now.
So I'll help him hunt Chloe down. I will help him find them. And I will never bad talk them because I don't want him to ever feel like I'm the reason that he feels or thinks any type of way. Throughout this whole time, the only people we were legally required to allow to visit Nolan were Chloe and Taylor. However, as I've said, and if my words weren't enough, I wanted so badly for Nolan to have a relationship with Chloe, Chloe's family, Taylor, and Taylor's family. Throughout this entire time, even through the harassment, the awful text messages that they have sent to me, I have allowed Chloe's mother, Chloe's grandmother, Chloe's children, Taylor's mother, they have all come and visited. Chloe's grandmother visited fairly regularly, at least once a month, for a long time. And I invited them into my home. I allowed them to have visitation with Nolan when I didn't have to, because I wanted that relationship with him,
Yeah,
with them.
he deserves that. As long as it's healthy.
Yeah, that's the
Big
kicker.
part.
I wanted him to have a relationship with them as long as it was what was best for Nolan. And at the beginning, I believed that was what was best for Nolan. I wanted him to be able to have that choice of if he wanted a relationship with them or not. And then yesterday, well, you're probably seeing this tomorrow because I still got to edit it. August 16th, 2022, we legally adopted Nolan. So we have had sole legal, sole physical custody since April 21st, 2021. But we could not change his name, get our names on the birth certificate, or move out of state until the adoption was completed. So his last name was changed in court yesterday to Nolan Lee Williams. I am listed as the mother on his birth certificate. I am his mother.
I am his father.
We're listed as the parents on the birth certificate. His original birth certificate is now sealed, and you can't get it anymore. The judge said that they didn't show up to the adoption hearing, by the way. The judge said that she could tell that Nolan was loved and thriving, and he's so smart, and that this was what was best for him.
Yep. That he was cherished. They even gave him a little backpack with his initials embroidered on it. We took photos with the judge. It was really cute, and then we went and had a beautiful breakfast with the family. So
that's our version. No hate, no emotion, just facts backed up by evidence of what has happened after being slandered online for 2 years and being advised by our attorney to just not say anything,
bite our tongues,
hold off, be the bigger person.
So there we go.